Welcome back to part 2 of the tutorial on the counter made for Groxy, who requested this in the Neos Discord. Feel free to just take this logic and use it how you'd like, but what I'm actually going to do is package it up into a nice UI. And I thought I'd show building that UI and also talk whilst I was doing it. This is less of a tutorial, more of me just showing you stuff. I will link to various tutorial videos I have done on various components as we do them though. So what we're going to do here is we're going to change this into a button, we're going to change this into a text box, and this into a piece of text. And we're going to start with the easiest, which is the piece of text here. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do here is create a piece of text. So we're going to do text outline. I'm going to open that in the inspector. And I'm going to grab the text renderer and spawn it in the wild using secondary. Put it up here, kind of where the elapsed time is. Now you'll notice that the elapsed time is coming out as a float, and the text renderer wants a piece of text in a string, the red color. To convert between the two, we need to use the format node, so I'll show you where that is. We're going to go to string and then format. We're using format because it means we have control over the decimal places, which I want to get rid of. So we're going to plug the cyan into this grayish color. And then for this node, we're going to have to enter the following string. This is a format string, and I'll cover them when I go over the format node in a little bit more detail. Right now, just type exactly what I've got. So 0:F0, and then close brace, and it comes out as this. So we're going to delete that, and we're going to plug that into text. And you'll see here we now have the elapsed time appearing as a piece of text. Let's create a little UI for this to go for. I'm also going to pulse that so it starts counting again. To do that, I'm going to go to the outline. I'm going to remove, that scared me. I'm going to remove the grabbable. I'm going to hit this up arrow button, and I'm going to name this UI. And I'm going to go ahead and hit up again, and we're going to name this counter. This will be the actual root of the counter. This will be what spawns in the world. And I hit jump there by mistake, which is why we're now a little bit closer to it, I think. Yeah, I hit jump too. So now I'm going to create a few things to help us out. So what we're going to do here for the UI is we're going to add an axis aligner. You'll see why in just a second. So attach component transform drivers axis aligner. Take a look at my axis aligner video if you'd like to see more. So we're going to do auto add children. We're going to do y negative here. And then we're going to do mid on everything. And this just means our UI is going to build itself as we build it. So the next thing we're going to need is a text field. So for that, create new object, Neos UI text field. We're going to inspect the text field. This gets us into the piece of text in the text field. So we hit this up arrow, the one on the left, and we go to the top of the text field. And we drop that into the UI. And you'll see it automatically aligns, but it doesn't reset the rotation. So we're going to go ahead here and do reset rotation and then close. And then we're also going to need a button. So I'm going to go ahead and create that with create new object, Neos UI button. Inspect the button, make sure we're at the top of the button, which we are. Drop that onto the UI. That didn't need a scale reset. And now you can see that we've got a nice lined up UI. What we're going to do now is we're going to style the UI a little bit to my personal preference. This also shows you how to style Neos UI. It's quite stylable, but you just need to know where to look. So what we're going to do here is go to the top of our counter. We're going to make a new property here called settings. This is a common thing that a bunch of us are doing. I'm not sure who started it originally, but Anomalous was the first person to get a video out about it, so I'll link to his video. Inside settings, we're going to create another child, and I'm going to just call this UI style. Now on the UI style sleeve, I'm going to add this component called Neos UI style. I'll link to that video as well. And here I'm going to just change up a few values because this is an older version of the Neos UI style applier. And then I'm going to go ahead and spawn the button as a separate inspector and the text field as a separate inspector. Try not to have too many inspectors open, but when you're doing things like this, it's okay. So grab the word Neos UI style, drop it into style, grab the word NewSUI style and drop it into style. Close these two inspectors, and then you'll see everything's gone to this black color, which is my personal preference. On the text field here, I'm going to open that up and now configure this. So we need to go to the top of this, and I'm going to clear the slant value here by grabbing a nearest 0 and doing slant. I'm then going to go inside the text field and set the color property on both text renderers to white. There are two text renderers inside a text field because one of them is a prompt and one of them is the actual value. So this is the prompt. You can see here it says type here. I set that to white as well. I'm going to change the type here to say enter number. Enter. I'm going to go to the button, find the button and clear the slant. And then we've got a much more reasonable UI. I'm also going to remove grabbable on both the button and the text field because we don't want them moved. We'll reset scale whilst we're there because that was a bit messy there. Let's double check this one. That one's fine. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to clear the inspectors and you'll see we've got a nice UI going on. We've also got the beginnings of the UI, but now we need to wire up the other parts of it. So what we're going to do here is put the enter number is going to replace this number 4 here. And the button is going to replace the pulse here. You know what we didn't do? We didn't rename the button's text, so let's do that. So here we find the text render and we just go to here and we say start. Cool. So next we're going to replace the piece of text. To do that, we're going to need to get, replace the 4, sorry. To do that, we're going to need to get the number out of this box. So if I say 4 here, and I go to the text field and I look for 4 and I pull this out, so this is a piece of text, and it's kind of difficult to convert that into a float reliably, but there's a component for that, which I go over in another video, but we'll do it here as well. So on the text field here, go to the bottom, attach component, UI editors, float text editor parser. We float text editor parser, spawn that out, and then drop the passed value into the bottom here. And then we can delete the 4 here. I'll explain what this does. This takes the value that's entered and it puts it into this passed value here. If you enter something which isn't a number, so here we're going to enter test, it won't allow it in and it will change it back to the last valid value. You can also set a minimum and a maximum here. So I'm going to set the minimum to be 0 and I'm going to set the maximum to be... Actually, I'm not going to set the maximum. I shouldn't have changed that. So I'm just going to make it a really big number again. There we go. Decimal places, we're going to set this down to, actually let's do 2. So you can do fractions of seconds if you would like to. And then that will just take care of things all by itself. We don't need to worry about that one anymore. Let's move on and hook up the button. So to hook up the button, we're going to go to the button. I'm going to go to the top of the button. I'm going to grab NewSUI button, move this to one side. I'm going to put this here. Now to connect a button to the pulse here, what we're going to need to do is use another node. So you go to interaction, button events, spawn that in the world. Connect this gray part to the top of the NewSUI button. You'll see weird things have just happened, but don't worry about them for now. The top item here that says pressed, put this into elapsed time. Delete this. Go here, move this ref just to the top for now. And you'll see everything goes back to normal. And now we are done. We can delete this because we've now got this displaying on the text. We can delete our display node because we've got that showing as a sound. And now if I hit start, you'll see we had a sound going out there. What happens here though is it doesn't stop the timer until you hit pulse again. So this is going to continue to count up. I'm going to leave that one for you to solve. You might want to change up the node that we're using here from elapsed time to something else. Or you might want to do some flow here where we change how this is being rendered when that's happening. But I'll leave that to you to take a look at. The last thing to do is to pack it up. But before that we do that, we're going to make a small edit to the fire on true. What we're going to do there is just say host user into the bottom property there. I'm never sure what the default value of that user property is, but with sounds, it's important to have only one person running the impulse. You can do a local fire on true from flow, or you can just put host user in there. I'm just decided to put host user in there. Once more, start 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the sound. I'm going to clear those inspectors so you can take a look. I'm going to change that down to 2 and hit start again. 1, 2. And there you go. Let's pack this up. To do that, we're going to go to the top of the counter. We're going to hit new child. We're going to go to counter child. And I'm going to delete the word child and replace that with logics. Don't just name your child slots logics, because then you'll get confused when you've got them on your tooltip here. So if I do this, and then set packing route, you'll see it says counter logics, so it's really easy to see what part of logics I'm packing. Now point it anywhere on the logics, hold secondary, it's gone. You can then delete these. We can delete the sound as well. We can clear the inspector. Going to come back though because I forgot to add grabbable at the top. Transform interaction grabbable. And now you can move this around and it will work. So again here 2, 1, 2. There you go. 1. Let's try 0.5 here. There you go. Hope this helps. You'll find this in my public folder. It's going to be in the tutorials section. Look for it. It's called Counter. And take a look. Let me know if this is helpful, and I'll get back to you soon with another tutorial. Bye-bye.